This is going to be a new series that I'm going to record, and it's going to be a bit different from other series of videos I have done, in that instead of focusing on problems linked to epidemiology, for example mathematical epidemiology, I'm going to be talking about R. And the aim is to create a set of vignettes. I will explain what that means. And these vignettes have the purpose of introducing some concepts of R. The main aim is modelers, but it can be for anybody. So this first presentation is going to be just about what these vignettes are going to contain. So essentially what I'm going to do in this lecture is go through what are the vignettes and who I'm thinking of this to be aimed at, and a few other introductive considerations. So first of all, what's a vignette? So I'll start with the definition. A vignette is it's a French word. It comes from vigne, vine, and it's essentially something that you use to provide a short description on something. It would essentially describe a little scene and something like this. And so this is what this is originally. Now, in the R world, vignettes are, let's say, little wordy introductions to our packages or topics. And they tend to be much more user-friendly than, for example, a package manual or a help page. They provide a written narrative, and it's typically written by the package developers, but it is it's meant as a way to get you introduced to a package. So normally I should be able to click. Yes. So this is, for instance, the RCRAN. I'll come back to RCRAN later in the course in another vignette. But this is the RCRAN page for DE-solve, which is a package used for solving differential equations. And what you can see is that there's several links there. And so, for instance, if I go to the reference manual, I will get the description of the package, but this is quite a dry description. Okay, so what you see here is a list of the functions, explaining what functions do, what the arguments to the functions are. Typically, there are examples as well included in package documentation, but it's relatively dry. Whereas you see here there is a vignette. There are two vignettes actually for DE-solve, and so if I take one of them, for example, you will see that there is a much better, sort of much more fleshed out narrative about the use of this DE-solve library in this case, but you are going to see this type of resource for most major packages. Not all package maintainers actually implement vignettes, but in a major package like DE-solve, for example, there are vignettes. That's what a vignette is in the R world, but I'm actually going to take a little twist on this, and my vignettes, the ones that I'm going to be basing these lectures on, are a bunch of how-tos to explain how to attack a particular problem in R. Okay, so this is essentially what the vignette I was showing you before does, but I'm going to sort of shift things a little bit, and I'm going to put the focus really on items that are relevant, in my view, to mathematical modelers. Okay, so this is going to be a set of little how-tos on mathematical modeling. So who is this intended for? So Essentially, if you're using another programming language and you're interested in learning how to do things in R instead of one of those programming languages, this is one potential use case. Also, I teach frequently in summer schools or in a variety of settings. And when I do these courses, I typically tell students that they should be using R. I show a lot of examples and so on. And so for these students attending my lectures there, this will be a way to learn probably a bit more than I will have time to give in a typical lecture. And I will point out that this is also meant for students who are registered in one of my courses, official courses at the University of Manitoba, in which I do use R. So for instance, if you are a student in mathematics of data science in particular, where there's an R assignment every week, then you will have to read some of these vignettes because I'm going to assume that you will do things in the way that is explained in the vignettes. And if you don't, you might actually lose some points for not doing so. So how are these vignettes organized? Well, the main thing I'm going to say is that they are not. So there's a lot of topics that we'll cover in this course. I've tried to group things essentially by topics, but I don't think I've had a lot of success. And also I will be adding vignettes as I think of a topic or as someone asks me for details on another topic. So essentially this is going to be an unorganized collection of brief snapshots about R and modeling. One thing that I do want to point out is that like some of my lectures already on YouTube can be much longer. Here I'm going to really focus on one particular aspect, and so some of these vignettes will be very short, others will be longer. It sort of depends if the topic requires it. There is no attempt on my part to make the topics equally of equal durations. It's going to be some videos might be 5 minutes, some videos might be half an hour or an hour. We will see. So these vignettes are also organized in a GitHub repo. So the repo takes two forms, I will show you. So the first thing is as a web page. There is a page that I will link to on the YouTube front to these lectures, but I will also link on my personal web page. And these are all the vignettes. And when there's a video, for the moment there's no videos, but when there's a video, there will be also a link to the video here. The other form is the same repository, but in that repository, you, if you go to it following the link to the GitHub page, it's the GitHub repo, not the GitHub page, then you will find all the material. So all the slides are there. If you, all the code for the slides, etc., is there. But not only that, there's also a code directory, which for the moment doesn't have a lot, but I will be adding to as we go. And so all the code that I develop within the vignettes will be posted there at some point. I am trying to label the code so that the number corresponds to the vignettes. This way it's easy to see which one I'm talking about. Okay. And brief caveats to finish. First of all, I'll warn that this is work in progress. Okay, so these vignettes are very likely to contain typos. They might also contain code typos, although I try to test everything before I post it, and I will explain that later in a later vignette. Not all vignettes are ready. So if you go to the web page that I was mentioning, you will see that some of the vignettes are essentially empty. As things progress, I am progressively incorporating material in there, and typically when I record a video, like I've done for this one, it means the vignette is as ready as can be at the time of recording. And so altogether, I hope you find some interest in these vignettes, that they are helpful to you. And if you have topics that are not covered in the list and you want them treated at some point, don't hesitate to send me an email to say, oh, I'd like to see a little explanation of how to do this or that, and I will try to accommodate.